Hello, and welcome to the podcast that must not be named. I'm Luke.
I am Melissa.
And we are doing Chapter 4 of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets at Flourish and Blots. This chapter is 23 pages, and that is 6.74% of this book. Melissa, take it away on your summary.
Harry settles into the crazy, loud, unexpected life of the Weasley house, which was as different from life with the Dursleys as was possible to be. The biggest difference is the attention that Harry was given by everyone. Letters from Hogwarts arrive, including one for Harry. This year's book list includes the complete works of Gilderoy Lockhart for all the students, which becomes a financial worry for the Weasleys, since Ginny is starting at Hogwarts also this year. That's 5 Weasleys at Hogwarts for anyone keeping score. A letter from Hermione also arrives, both hopeful that Harry was safely rescued in a legal way as well as to avoid being in trouble. She suggests they all meet up at Diagon Alley the following Wednesday. Harry, Ron, George, and Fred head off to play Quidditch after asking Percy to join them. He was too busy holed up in his room. On Wednesday, they head off to Diagon Alley via Floo powder. The twins demonstrate this for Harry, throwing the powder into fire and saying the destination. After some rapid-fire advice from the remaining Weasleys, except for Ginny, who has yet to speak to him, Harry nervously attempts Floo powder. However, he choked on the ash and stumbled over the words Diagon Alley. After a nauseating journey, Harry falls out of a fireplace, breaking his glasses, but he is not in Diagon Alley. He didn't know where he was. He found himself in a shop filled with evil and dangerous items. Hoping to escape quickly, Harry hurried to the door, where he found none other than Draco Malfoy and his father. So, Harry hides in a cabinet. While in the cabinet, he overhears Draco whining about getting a broom and how awful Harry is, until the shopkeeper comes in. Mr. Malfoy, it seems, is selling some items, particularly poisons, that he doesn't want the Ministry to discover on their raids. The raids, which are promoted by none other than our friend Arthur Weasley. Draco, bored with his father's haggling with Mr. Borgin, wanders the shop, getting closer and closer to Harry's hiding place. At the last moment, Mr. Malfoy calls his son back, unknowingly saving Harry from being discovered. The Malfoys leave, Mr. Borgin goes into the back, and Harry escapes. But now he's in some place called Knockturn Alley, filled with shops dedicated to the dark arts. Not knowing how to get out, Harry is found by none other than Hagrid, who is in Knockturn Alley buying flesh-eating slug repellent. Hagrid drags him back to Diagon Alley, which was just one street over, and they meet back up with Hermione and the Weasleys. Apparently, Harry had gone just one grade too far. After being dusted off by Mrs. Weasley and having his glasses repaired by Mr. Weasley, Harry reported on the Malfoy sighting. They were soon joined by the Grangers, Hermione's Muggle parents. After taking money out at Gringotts, the large group separates. Harry, Ron, and Hermione wander Diagon Alley, sometimes buying school supplies, Hermione, sometimes staring at Quidditch team paraphernalia, Ron, and sometimes treating themselves to ice cream, Harry. Later, they meet back up with the big group at Flourish and Blots, where the author of the supply list books is holding a book signing. Gilderoy Lockhart and his gaggle of female admirers filled the bookstore. After seeing Harry Potter, Lockhart pulls Harry up with him and uses Harry as a great publicity stunt to announce that he, Gilderoy Lockhart, will be the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher at Hogwarts. Lockhart presents the full collection of his works free of charge to Harry, who proceeds to escape from Lockhart's grasp. Harry gives that book set to Ginny, saying that he will buy his own, and runs into Draco Malfoy. As Draco begins to make fun of Harry, Ginny sticks up for him, which is the first time she has spoken yet in this book. As Draco begins to tease Harry about his new girlfriend, Ron comes up, and Draco and Ron begin shouting insults. It soon escalates, and the boys are close to blows when their fathers appear. After trading insults themselves, the adult men began to fight. After the ruckus, Mr. Malfoy gives Ginny the book he had taken from her cauldron, throwing one more insult about her father, and leaves. As they head back to the burrow, Mrs. Weasley scolds her husband for brawling in public, and they travel back by Floo powder, which is not Harry's favorite way to travel.
All right, so we met quite a few characters this chapter. One character that it's kind of hard to really call it a character, but was the mirror over the kitchen mantelpiece. Was told Harry to tuck his shirt in. Scruffy.
Yes.
We meet Errol, who was mentioned last chapter, but we meet Errol the owl this chapter.
Old Errol.
Yeah, looks like a dust.
Right. A feather duster.
Yep. Lucius Malfoy, Mr. Borgin, Gilderoy Lockhart himself, Mr. and Mrs. Granger, the Daily Prophet photographer, the harassed-looking shop assistant, and an aged witch holding a tray of what looked like human fingernails.
Lovely.
Some of the locations that we came across were the small paddock that was used for Quidditch at the Burrow, Nocturne Alley, Borgin and Burke's Quality Quidditch Supplies, and Gamble and Jape's Wizarding Joke Shop.
There was a plethora of magicabulary, so I'm going to go through just the books that were listed first. We have The Standard Book of Spells, Grade 2, Break with a Banshee by Gilderoy Lockhart, Gadding with Ghouls by Gilderoy Lockhart, Holidays with Hags by Gilderoy Lockhart, Travels with Trolls by Gilderoy Lockhart, Voyages with Vampires by Gilderoy Lockhart, Wandering with Werewolves by that same guy, Year with the Yeti, also by that guy, and Magical Me. Other books that we see while in Diagon Alley are Prefix Who Gain Power and The Encyclopedia of Toadstools.
Some other magicabulary that we have in this chapter are Flu Powder, The Hand of Glory, Flesh-Eaten Slug Repellent, Dr. Filibuster's Fabulous Wet Start No Heat Fireworks.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah. And The Minister of Magic.
So the illustration in this particular chapter is of Mr. Gilderoy Lockhart himself. And boy, does that guy look smarmy. I have no better adjective. Just smarmy.
Yeah, he's got his glaringly bright smile in the picture and on the cover of the book.
Of course it is.
Yeah, he looks like a photo op waiting to happen at all.
Oh, yeah.
So, what kind of other notes did you come up with for this chapter?
Okay, well, so my first note is really a throwback to something we discussed in earlier episodes, both in the first book and in the second book. Harry gets a letter from Hogwarts while at the Weasleys. Like, he actually gets a letter. Is this the first letter that Harry receives outside of Hogwarts that he gets on the first try?
Looks like it. I know we kind of mentioned it, I think, last chapter. And
No, I think it was maybe chapter 2.
2 chapters ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's seems like all of them have been intercepted mostly by Vernon
Or Dobby.
Yeah, there's a ton of those.
Burned, rolled up in eggs. Just in general,
Yeah.
I'm pretty surprised they let him get a letter.
Yeah, this might be the first outside of Hogwarts that he's gotten.
Right. Yay, he got a letter on time. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
So that Lockhart guy sure has a thing for alliterative titles.
Yeah, definitely uses a lot of alliteration. Year with the Yeti, both start with Y.
Wandering with Werewolves.
Yep. Holidays with Hags.
Travels with Seriously, none of those sound interesting.
None of them?
No, none at all. Maybe Gadding with Ghouls.
I wonder what the Year with the Yeti was like. I think that sounds alright. I don't know.
Magical Me sounds dumb. Can we agree to that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds like the worst.
Excellent. So speaking of Lockhart and his immense list of books, why do the first years like Ginny need all of his books? I feel like maybe the books that each level needs should be varied, as in not every grade level needs every book, as in like you start with maybe Magic Me with first years, and then you get Gadding with Ghouls and you're with Yeti on second year. I feel like it should be spread out, because otherwise it looks like they're all going to be doing the same work, which I don't really think it's fair to make 11-year-olds do the same amount of work as 15-year-olds. And this goes back to a conversation we had in the first book of, is there no curriculum oversight?
It doesn't sound.
It's really unfortunate, because not only is it financially straining for families, even with just one kid to have to buy the complete works of this guy, I also think it's not very academically appropriate for every grade level to have to read every book just for one class.
Yeah, I agree. It's doesn't sound very academically responsible.
No.
And
I feel like there needs to be an oversight.
I agree.
Where's the curriculum committee on this one?
So I'll say it's not the full catalog.
Okay.
Because it doesn't include Gilderoy Lockhart's Guide to Household Pets.
Or Magical Me. That's not on the...
That's not on the school list.
Okay, but a large chunk of his collective works.
Right. The alliterables.
Yes.
I guess Magic is, but...
Oh, yeah. Magical Me is too. You're right. It's not his complete works, but it is a lot of his works.
It's a bunch of books, but yeah, either way, how...
7 books. They have to buy 7 books. Can't they do 1 book a year?
Right. I mean...
Spread it out.
I guess might as well buy them all if you're to be buying them all over the next 7 years.
Well, I'm if you have siblings, like, okay, you buy 1 of each now and they just pass it down. Like, you're just trying, especially now that we know that he's going to be the teacher. That is nothing but a blatant blatant, like, money grab.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
And it doesn't sound like he's planning on staying for very long, because how are you going to teach the same book to the next year and they already learned it last year?
That's also true. I didn't think about it like that.
You're not going to teach the same first years, the same set of 7 books 7 years in a row.
Yeah, but see, I don't think he cares. He might.
It doesn't sound like he does.
Right. So going along with my books and money thing, especially like thinking about the Weasleys, who do have lots of kids and not as much money as some others, wouldn't it make more sense to buy one set for Fred and George to share? Like, they're always together anyway. I would do that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that every parents of twins should only buy one thing to share, but in this particular case,
when everything's so strapped anyway,
when you're going to have 3 other sets for family members in the building,
right?
Hey, we both.
And what are the chances that Harry and Ron's and Hermione's class is going to be doing the exact same thing as Fred and George? So, like, you just borrow Ron's for the week,
right? So you've got Ginny's set, Ron's set, Fred's set,
Percy,
George's set, Percy's set, and really Harry's set. I mean, so you've got,
and I'm sure Hermione would be okay with lending out a book if it came down to it. I think
for an academic reason, she might.
Yes.
But yes, unless he's having every class read the same book at the same time, is
Who knows?
not
Maybe he is
putting it past him. But you would think, if you only bought maybe 3 or 4 sets for the family to share, they're all in the same house, which you don't know about Ginny, but the 4 of them are in the exact same house. They're around each other all the time. Hey, dude, we're reading Year with the Yeti this year. Are you reading Year with the Yeti? No. Can I borrow your cop?
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't even say bar asking for Percy. I get it. He's Percy. He doesn't come out of his room to talk to you, so maybe we share with the 3 boys. Can the 3 boys share 2 sets?
Still seems like enough.
Yes. It should plenty. I'm just saying. I feel like there's a way to make it work.
A way for it to work a little bit better.
A little more financially responsible.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Okay. So Hermione picked the date for the Diagon Alley randomly in her letter. Picked the date. Hey, let's go next Wednesday. I never thought about this before, but I realized this time. Do you think she knew that Lockhart would be doing the book signing that day and picked that day on purpose?
I gotta say, I never thought of that either.
Mm-mm.
That's because she pays attention to things.
She does.
I don't think it would be getting past her to be aware of that if she had already been aware of he is.
Right.
Do we know if she is for this?
I don't know. And the Hogwarts letters arrive on the same day as Hermione's letter, which leads me to believe Hermione had written the letter before she got her Hogwarts letter, unless hers came earlier, which is possible. So I don't know. But it leads me to believe that she may have had a covert
that thought. I like the idea that she had an idea that she would have a chance to meet him.
I'm not saying I've done things like that before, but I am saying that it's a really good way to manipulate a situation to your best interest without anybody knowing that you're doing that.
Yep, never done that.
That is brand new information. Don't tell my husband. Okay, what's next? So they ask Percy to play Quidditch.
Mm-hmm.
Just Percy, not the other child in the house. Ginny doesn't get asked.
She won't.
But
I'm teasing.
I wonder if she would be included if Harry wasn't there.
I would. Well, we really don't know anything about her at this point. I mean,
I don't really know about her, but I also know that we're talking a house full of a lot of boys.
Yeah.
With their baby sister.
Yeah.
And I tend to be a little wary of them including her in those kinds of things.
The guy things.
All right. So my next thought, 6 bacon sandwiches each. It says they had a half dozen bacon sandwiches each. Bacon is not cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, of like all the things you can eat, bacon is not cheap. That's a lot of food for all those people.
Yeah. That's like 48 sandwiches.
Ooh, look at you multiplying.
I counted it. I was like,
yeah,
that's a ton of sandwiches.
48 sandwiches, and it's got to be at least 4 pieces of bacon each, right?
2 to 4,
give or take. So that's roughly 200 pieces of bacon. If you do
a lot of bacon.
If you do 400 pieces,
it's a lot of
roughly,
hogs.
It's a lot. And these are the Weasleys. It's not like Harry's pitching in on money for food. So is there like a special wizard grocery store? Is it like you buy a little bit and you can like magically duplicate it? I wonder how food works in Magic World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems unlikely that with how little money it looks like the Weasleys have that they could afford to eat like that. I don't know.
I feel like there has to be a magical component.
I would think so.
To it, because it doesn't ever seem like they're lacking in food. Even when Harry first shows up, she's like shoving food down his throat. So,
right.
And they had, so yeah, I do really think there's a magical component to creating or increasing the amounts
I think
of
that's
food.
fair.
Okay.
I think that's a fair assumption.
So my next thought is escapaders.
Yeah. Have you ever taken an escalator?
I don't really know what an escalator would be. I feel like it's a cross between an escalator elevator. So like you're in a box that goes upstairs. I don't really know.
I think it's just he didn't know the word for escalator.
I do too, but it's really funny.
Yeah.
So now I'm finally finally in Diagon Alley, which is funny. Most of my thoughts are about being with the Weasleys.
Yeah.
But I love seeing Malfoy put down by his dad.
Oh, yeah.
It's so nice to see
Yeah,
him being put in his place.
His pettiness just gets put down by Lucius pretty hard. You know, he just doesn't have any time for Draco's whining and moping and moaning.
Right.
He's like, you've already told me this 12 times. I get it.
I mean,
and let's stop talking like that.
I mean,
basically.
Malfoy seemed pretty spoiled in the last book. So, I mean, like, at one point, his dad was looking at racing brooms for him. Remember when he was getting his so it's
robes.
not like he doesn't get whatever he wants from his dad anyway. But it is really nice to see being shown times.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if Draco's just lonely, so he can only talk to his dad all summer.
I bet that's really frustrating for Dad.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Please just stop talking.
1, I don't care about your pettiness. And 2, just
go talk to somebody else. I don't have anybody else. Then don't talk. Just sit there. So when Harry escapes of Nocturnally, if you will, both of the Weasley parents fuss over him. Mrs. Weasley has to brush off all the dust off of him, and Mr. Weasley has to fix his glasses. It's really sweet. And I don't think Harry gets that. I don't think he recognizes that he's being parented in that moment.
Oh, he doesn't get it because he's never gotten it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
he
doesn't know what parenting is, and he doesn't think of them as his parents because his mind, he's this guest.
He feels almost like he's kind of a tag along is what I think in his head he feels like.
Right. But I really feel like that moment shows that those parents
they're good parents. And
they're the people parenting him. I mean, and he's only been in their house a couple weeks, but that they're the ones who are going to parent him.
Yeah. And
they showed it last year, even when they sent him Christmas presents. Yeah. Like it's very much
it's thoughtful, it's caring, it's they're a good pair for him.
Right. And maybe they would do that for any friend, but maybe they're just doing it extra because they know he doesn't have anybody else to do it for him.
I don't know. I see what you're saying. I don't know they're doing it extra for him. I think they're just doing it because that's who they are.
I agree, but I'm saying like if it had been Hermione, I don't know if they would have needed to.
But I don't. Okay,
because
Hermione
she doesn't need it. Parents, okay, no, to do it for her.
That's fair.
I'm saying like if I don't know, Lee Jordan was there and he's the one who got lost. I don't know if they would be doing quite as much fussing. Not that they wouldn't be glad he was okay, but I don't know if they'd be doing quite as much fussing because Lee has parents to do it, I assume. Lee has parents to do it for him. Harry doesn't have anybody else.
Yeah.
So they're just going to do it.
Yeah, and I think an important distinction is they're not doing it because it's the famous Harry Potter. They're doing it because it's Harry.
Yeah, it's Ron's friend Harry.
It's Ron's friend Harry, who they know doesn't really have a family.
Right.
So, yeah, no, I think that's fair.
Yeah. My last kind of thought is when they go to Gringotts and Harry notices the small amount in the Weasley vault.
And they take all of it. They sweep it all up into the bag.
The whole thing. And then he goes to his. I love how embarrassed he gets about how much money he has.
He tries to hide the door.
Yes. It shows so much character on his part that instead of being a show off me like, oh, look what I got, or holding it against them, he gets embarrassed that he has more. He doesn't like that he has more, and he realizes how unfair it is. But he also knows, I think instinctively, what an insult would be if he was like, here, let me help you.
Yeah.
He just recognizes the uncomfortable situation and I think handles it fairly appropriately.
I think so.
For a 12-year-old.
He's quite tactful
yes.
for what he's expected to do.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts?
I agree that Mr. Malfoy making Draco look stupid was just gold. Like it's just great. I love that part. But also the Malfoys are basically what I call a facade family, just like the Dursleys are, where it's all fake up front. You know, you put on the niceties and do all this, but you know there are ulterior motives to know everything that they're doing.
Here's the thing. I feel like though, at least based on some of the things Lucy said, I feel like they own it. They know they're a fake family. They know it's all about looks.
Yeah. I agree. And
I think the Dursleys don't always recognize when they're doing that. I think
they're definitely the Malfoys are a lot more sly and suave and
practiced
and self-confident about it.
Yes. They do it because they know this is what's expected, as opposed to the Dursleys.
And they do feel superior.
Right.
They don't feel like they're doing it to get on somebody else's level. They're doing it so that you know that they're above your station.
Yes. But, or like, you need to be careful what you say about Harry Potter. Or, you know, I'm going to get rid of these because it wouldn't do for people to find these.
It would look like this. And
whereas the Dursleys do it because that's how you're supposed to look. And that's what makes people special. And this is how you fit in. And you have to be this way. For them, it's almost like a nervous habit. Like in order for us to
Yeah.
be perfect, we have to do these things. Whereas the Malfoys, it's like we
think
need to put up appearances.
Yeah.
Not because it makes us who we are, but because it makes life a little easier to get the things
Greases
we
the
want.
wheels for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just interesting how they have similar for different reasons.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were talking about in the previous chapter, Draco versus Dudley.
Draco versus Dudley, yeah.
Malfoys versus Dursleys.
Yeah.
Both not very nice families who do similar kinds of things for very, very different reasons, and yet would hate each other just blatantly.
Right, regardless of how similar they were.
Right.
Yeah. Nocturne Alley. Probably not a place I would want to go and have some lunch.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
I would never want to go down there ever.
Yeah.
I'd be very uncomfortable.
It doesn't sound like it's a real clean or fun or nice place. So.
Yeah, no thanks.
Okay. I really wish we would have learned a little bit more about Mr. and Mrs. Granger. Like, it was pretty brief. Like, we didn't even get, like, a description of them,
Or a
really.
word.
Or, like, names. Like, nothing. Like, the names is pretty on par. We don't get names a lot of times, but...
I wonder, first of all, was this their first trip to Diagon Alley, or did they take their daughter last year?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I wonder what they think about all this. Like, Hermione is so strong and so self-motivated, and so this is what it is, and this is what I'm doing, and here's why. Like, what is their thoughts on all this crazy magic stuff?
Yeah, it would have been nice to get any kind of insight from them other than just being boring muggles, which I think is the role that they're playing. They're just being
sad.
Boring muggles. But I mean,
because you cannot be a boring muggle and raise a Hermione Granger.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's exactly
You can
what
be
I
an
was
interesting
getting at.
muggle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they deserved a little bit more than just a part.
Right.
So 3 large strawberry peanut butter ice creams.
Ugh.
How's that sound?
Horrible. I don't like fruit flavored like treats. I don't like fruit pies. I don't like fruit flavored ice cream. No, chocolate and peanut butter. I can get behind them. Or how come they all have to have exactly the same? They don't have any differences?
Hey, Harry was buying, so he ordered, and that was it. That's not Harry at all.
That's not Harry at all. Maybe
good.
they just have, like, there's that much of a
It was
psychic
a
connection
special that
between
day.
the 3 of them. Buy 1, get 3 for 3 price of 3.
3 for the price of 1?
Or 3 for the price of 3, and they all have to be the same. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But more ice cream talk.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with ice cream talk. There's a lot of ice cream in this series.
There has been. Yeah.
Yes.
Makes me want some ice cream every time we talk about
Sounds really good, actually. We should have done that.
Lockhart sounds like kind of a big deal. Lucky that Harry got to have his photo taken with him, right? You don't seem to agree. It seems like pretty good PR move for Harry.
Lockhart's
for
part.
Harry. Lucky Harry.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Oh, famous Harry Potter gets to meet the even more famous Gilderoy Lockhart. Really? Is it possible to be more famous than Harry Potter?
Ask Gilderoy. See what he thinks.
I think he's trying to be. But yeah, no, that was not for Harry's benefit.
I mean, together they're worth the front page.
And Harry alone is rich.
Right.
And Gilderoy Lockhart has written a lot of books.
Yep. He's on a lot of front pages of his own book.
Well, you know, you got to make your own fame.
So 2 wizards physically wrestling is kind of funny.
Yes.
Like we kind of talked about it before, where the wizards duel with
yes.
Ron,
Harry and
Draco
and Midnight
Crabbe,
Duel.
and how they would probably just throw down and punch each other, but
They actually did. Like adult wizards.
yeah, they actually do that apparently.
I'm surprised they didn't curse each other.
Yeah, I think it was more of it wasn't calculated or really thought. It was just emotion.
Well,
you just
and
gotta
I
strangle
guarantee Weasley
somebody.
started it. Because I feel like if it had been Malfoy, there would have been cursing.
I agree, absolutely.
Yep.
That's,
I'm still surprised he didn't.
I know. I'm surprised he didn't.
Yep. Because he was able to hold on to the book the whole time, but you can't hold on to your wand? No, I'm surprised there was not cursing.
Yeah. So my final note is when Hagrid goes, rotten to the core, the whole family, everyone knows that. No Malfoy's worth listening to. Bad blood. That's what it is. Come on now, let's get out of here. Hagrid preaching about family blood? I don't know.
To the Weasleys.
It's been a while since I've done a little bit of Hagrid bashing, but I don't know. It seems irresponsible of him to bring up family blood like that. It seems like he would not... I don't know. It seems like more of a Malfoy type thing to say than Hagrid.
But I also think Hagrid's trying to just... Basically what he's saying is, look, they're bad. They're bad news. Everybody knows they're bad news. Just, don't let them get to you. Which I can get. I don't think it's necessarily a problem. I'm alright with it. So I'm not going to get on the Hagrid bashing train with you yet.
Okay, alright.
I'll leave the door open. I'll leave the door open. Point. But today I'm like, nah, it's good. I mean, I'm still a little concerned on why he was in Nocturne Alley in the first place.
That's the other side of that, yeah.
But that comment I'm alright with.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's get into your 5 burning questions.
Number one, how does Dumbledore know that Harry is at the Weasleys?
Because he's Dumbledore. He knows.
I don't think that's enough information. That's not good enough for me anymore. It was good enough for me when I first read the book. It would have been good enough for like a kid reading this. But like as a grown adult who's read these several times, no, I really want to know. How does he know? Like, did Arthur say something to somebody at work who then passed it on to somebody else who happened to mention it? Is there some sort of like Harry Potter spy thing he has going on? I want to know, how does he figure out that Harry is there?
How long did it take for the letters to get there after Harry arrived at the Burrow?
Oh, they'd been there a while, I think.
So, I mean, if Arthur says something to somebody, I think it pretty easily could get back to Dumbledore. I think he's got people all over the place.
And I agree with that. I don't like the vagueness. Just tell me. He heard it
really
from.
Important at all? Does it do anything to the story?
Is anything we talk about in this podcast important necessarily to the story? I mean, I say with a grain of salt because I love doing this. This is one of those plot points, and I feel like I'm going to find that a lot in this book.
I just don't think it's a plot point.
I guess that's my point. I find a lot of things in this book in particular that I have questions about that I never feel get answered well. And this is one of them. And I know it's not that important, but it's little things like this that drive me crazy. How does he know? And I feel like as we go further in the series, things that I had questions on early on get answered. This one never does. It annoys me.
Okay.
I like answers. Right. Tied up.
I guess I'm just not worried about this one. So
this is one of my things.
Okay.
Is there a draw to visit Nocturne Alley, or would you avoid it?
Well, I wouldn't go there for lunch, but I bet there are some things that you can get there that no store in Diagon Alley would carry, like
flesh-eating slug repellent.
Slug repellent. I mean, I think there are probably some useful things in there that are just
like apothecary type things that maybe aren't in the Target version, but you can
you can go to the specialty shop.
Right. Okay.
So I don't think it's all really just dark arts stuff. I mean, really,
maybe that was
the Ministry wouldn't go and break that up. I mean, like,
true. And it's possible Harry was just having a very over dramatic reaction.
Yeah, and he was hyper focused on the Malfoys are here. This is pretty clearly a lot of dark stuff.
Borgin and Blotz was not, or Borgin and Burks was not.
Yeah, Borgin and Blotz. That's down the street. That's the dark arts bookstore.
Right. They sell like flesh eating ink.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I think there are probably some good things down there, but you need to know what they are before you go. You're not going to go browse Nocturne Alley.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. There's no window shopping there. You go, you get it, you leave.
Yep.
All right. What item from Borgin and Blotz? See, I did it again. Borgin and
That's because you wrote it down.
I did. Which item from Borgin and Burks would intrigue you the most?
So they mention a staring glass eye. I think that would be pretty interesting. I don't know what it does, but compared to the Hangman's Noose or the Hand of Glory or a couple other things, that's the one I would want to check out.
Okay. I have nothing. I don't want any of it.
Not to mention, I'm pretty sure that's Moody what I'm getting at. But
I
just looking through it after I saw your question, I was like, huh.
Interesting. All right. What are your thoughts on the efficiency of the Floo powder system?
I think it sounds terrible. I don't know. Maybe not. It's not the worst thing ever, but I mean, you're throwing a powder that flashes up around you and you're supposed to speak
into fire
while standing in a fire. Like, I don't know. I'm not surprised that Harry got kind of choked up and coughed, kind of spluttered his words.
Okay. So here's what I know about wizard transport systems. We have flying brooms, which seem not very efficient for daily travel. One, because it's very hard not to be spotted. So that doesn't seem like the best travel method.
It's like a motorcycle. You kind of have it fun.
Right. We know that people can just appear as if from nowhere because Dumbledore did that in the very first book.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't really know like the mechanics.
In Dobby in this book.
That's right. But he's a creature and not a person.
It
so
seems like it's similar.
Yes. So to me, the Floo powder system feels almost like a bus system or a like tram or like subway system where there are certain stops and certain places. Like you can't just take it anywhere. There are only certain destinations, like a
network that you have to be locked into.
Like a bus system where there are only certain stops. I'm not just going to stop anywhere, as opposed to if I traveled by my own car, I could go anywhere I wanted.
Right, which seems like the disappearing act.
Right. Here's my question: why can't they take Floo powder to platform 9 3/4? Why wouldn't you have like a station, if you will, at the platform? form.
Or why can't it just go to...
Also true, because
I mean,
obviously
the train's
kids
fun.
can take
I mean,
flu.
the train's fun, but...
But you're telling me you can't have some sort of system where the kids just flash in on a schedule? That's
I'm
a
not
really
telling
good point.
you that, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Here's my last question for you. You are trapped in a room
Oh, no.
with one other person,
Oh, gosh.
and it is either Gilderoy Lockhart or Lucius Malfoy. Who is in the room with you?
So I pick.
You have to pick. Who are you trapped with?
Oh,
With no
boy.
possible escape in sight.
Well, let's go through a quick pros and cons.
When in doubt, make a list.
Speaking to Gilderoy Lockhart would get pretty old pretty quick, because I don't know if after hearing his story over and over and over...
But he has a lot of stories. He's written a
written
lot of
stories,
books.
but they're
so you'd
all
be entertained.
just about him.
Yeah.
Just about. And then I think outside of the storytelling, he would still be talking just about him. And I don't know, that would get pretty old pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
On the reverse hand, Lucius Malfoy would probably just curse me right away, being a muggle. And
yes.
that doesn't sound really good.
What if you're not a muggle, though? Like, what if
Okay,
you're, we'll assume wizard status.
Okay, and I'm gonna say I'm not a Weasley or Harry Potter,
No,
so where he has
there's
average,
no,
everyday
yes.
wizarding kid.
Sure.
Then he is still kind of a bad guy. He's very bigoted. He's seems arrogant and pompous. Doesn't seem like he's so self-focused as much.
Right.
But that superiority complex he has is pretty rough.
True.
You got a coin on you?
Nope.
I am going to pick Gilderoy Lockhart.
Because?
Just because I think I could get over somebody loving themselves a little bit easier than someone hating a lot of other.
Okay.
I think it'd be easier to get along.
Okay.
How about you?
I think it depends on, like, the nature of the trappedness.
Sure.
I feel like if I was trapped forever, or, like, I was in a room and I knew somebody would be letting me out eventually, I would want Gilderoy Lockhart for similar reasons, as I could fake interest in his stories for an extended amount of time. But if it was, I'm trapped until I can find a way out, I want Lucius Malfoy, because that's a Slytherin. Self-preservation is, like, ingrained. If anybody's going to find a way out, it's going to be a Slytherin.
Yeah, that's probably...
So, like, accepting the risk of being cursed by him, I feel like that would make a better team to get out.
I agree.
I don't know that Gilderoy Lockhart would bring any advantages to escape.
Well, I mean, he's written all these books about his harrowing
and
adventures.
He has. I think in this case I would trust the Slytherin.
He spent a whole year with a Yeti.
That is true.
I mean, he's gone gadding with ghouls.
Nope. Still going with Malfoy.
Come on, he's been on holidays with hags.
Let it go.
No, I like your point. It's that's well said. And as you came up with the question, you probably had a little more time to think about it.
Nah. I just thought about it right now as you were talking. I'm like, man, he's taking a long time thinking. I should pick one. All right, let's go on to our favorite lines.
What was your favorite line?
My favorite line was, what Harry found most unusual about life at Ron's, however, wasn't the talking mirror or the clanking ghoul. It was the fact that everybody there seemed to like him.
That's be unusual.
Right, like to have actual adults interact with him and to have everybody included. Like it's not Hogwarts, and yet he still feels included.
Welcome.
Yeah, that's a big difference for him.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
Right, like I don't think, it's one of those I never knew life could be this way kind of things.
Right, yeah. And sorry, Harry, your life should have been that way.
Ugh, poor Harry. All right,
sure.
What was your favorite?
My favorite line is, I hope my son will amount to more than a thief. Yeah, will amount to more than a thief or a plunderer, Borgin, said Mr. Malfoy coldly. And Mr. Borgin said quickly, no offense, sir, no offense meant. Though if his grades don't pick up, said Mr. Malfoy more coldly still, that may indeed be all he is fit for. It's not my fault, retorted Draco. The teachers all have favorites. That Hermione Granger. I would have thought you'd be ashamed that a girl of no wizard family beat you in every exam, snapped Mr. Malfoy.
Burn.
Yeah, sick burn, Dad.
Nice.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of a muggle-born hatred in his last comment. And girl-driven, but... regardless, I don't mind it when it puts down Draco in this way, because that's how you get to Draco's feelings.
Yep.
You hit him right where
Man, if only we could have other people doing that too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, do you think Lucius is always like this? Like, how is Draco so the way he is when his dad is kind of bringing him down a peg?
We haven't met Mom.
Haven't met Mom.
I bet he's a mama's boy.
Moms.
I know, right? Oh, they're the worst. Just kidding.
But that's my favorite line. Just
Okay.
just for Lucius taking the Mickey out of him.
All right.
All right, who are you going to crown this chapter's MVP?
Second chapter in a row for me. I'm going to go with Arthur Weasley.
Woo!
For escapadors, for fixed glasses, and for attacking Mr. Malfoy. He was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he had a good chapter, I think.
Yes. And being not at Hogwarts, it's hard for him to, necessarily get the accolades because he's not in most of the books.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nice to see him as a fully formed character with flaws right away.
We only met him 2 chapters. He's 2 for 2 on chapters he's been in.
Is he winning?
I mean, it's pretty high batting percentage.
Yeah. All right. Good job, Weasley.
Yeah.
How about your honorable mention?
I'm going to give my honorable mention to Hagrid for kind of luckily pulling Harry out of a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
And also for when he pulls Malfoy and Mr. Weasley apart from their fight, he kind of gets Arthur's mind off it a little bit and just kind of says, you know what, you're right, you're fine. Let's relax and not think about him. Move on, and we're good. Okay. So I'm going to give it to Hagrid on this one.
Awesome. That about wraps it up for this week. We encourage you to share your thoughts, commentary, critiques in a variety of locations, including on our website. You can leave a comment at thepodcastthat.com. You can tweet at us at notnamedpodcast. You can email us, thepodcastthatmustnotbenamed at gmail, or you can subscribe and rate us on iTunes and leave a review. Please join us next week as we discuss Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Chapter 5.
The Whomping Willow. Stay imaginary, folks.
Thanks.